Welcome to the Mundus Fractura Lore Guide. This week on Lore Guide, we will take a deeper look at one of, if not the, most vile and hostile regions on the planet. Let us visit Eyðimörk, otherwise known as the Southern Wastes. Eyðimörk, as it is known in the old tongue of the elves, directly translated simply means desert. And though the name is appropriate by definition, it fails to convey the bleak and savage nature of this realm. Eyðimörk, in the common tongue, has evolved from its origins to become synonymous with the term living hell or hell on Mundus. It is also freely used in conversation to relate dire hopelessness or a slow, tortured existence before a prolonged and painful death. In fact, the ascetics of the Western Vales Midland use the word as the name of their most extreme form of capital punishment. These lands are in truth even worse than those common tongue descriptions would indicate. The region's denizens are so loathed and feared that the more northerly nations of the Western Vale collectively fund and operate the fortification officially known as Toothwall Keep. The stronghold, sometimes called simply the Keep or the Jaws of the Vale, is listed as a wonder of the world in each and every one of the great archives. Constructed by an army of slaves under the whip of the T.T.R.P.G Empire late in the 8th era, known as Clouds and Shame. This structure is a marvel of Cyclopean-style architecture and holds the distinction of being the only known structure on the planet to use quarried primordial residuum as its primary building material. As a side note for the Lore Guide newbies and our long-time listeners, grey or primordial residuum crystals form the titanic mountains of the planet known as the Breathless Peaks. These dull grey crystal structures are not only an impossibly hard and durable material, but they are resistant to most forms of processing, including physical, magical, and psionic. There are a precious few types of rare corrosive substances known to damage the material, with the results being wholly underwhelming, etching the crystal at best. The processes by which the T.T.R.P.G managed to harvest and cleanly cut the crystals lay either sleeping with the mechanoids or buried with the slaves who constructed the wall. Beyond the great bulwark lay a sprawling, desolate land, teeming with all manner of natural and unnatural horrors. Frequent blasting winds kick up realms-spanning dust and salt storms. These vast clouds generate static electricity which manifest into what scholars call dry lightning. The lightning then strikes the silicate-rich sands, forming fulgurites, or lightning fossils, across the lands. These buried branching glass structures can become exposed in later storms, creating, seemingly from nothing, vast forest-like expanses of the crystalline structures. These jagged glass jungles exist until they are either eroded away by the abrasive winds or buried again by the ever-shifting sands. There are many creatures that inhabit these desolate lands. Each life form, even the most mundane, brings with it a unique brand of horror. But it is widely accepted that the region's Frumefni are among the most dangerous. Frumefni, or elementals of all sizes, roam the wastes in a state of perpetual hate-filled agitation, lashing out in the most sadistic ways at any and all who cross their path, as they desperately search for an escape back to their home plains. Frumefni of air and lightning are common in the open desert of the Central Flats. On rare occasion, as if by some cruel joke of the gods, Frumefni of water can also be found. Like a twisted sailor's nightmare, water you cannot drink, in a place you need it most, and yet still worse, water that will actively torture and murder you. It is speculated by experts on this region that whatever cataclysm befell this region back in the Third Era Artok may have, in part, involved the Frumefni of water, drawing the moisture from the lands, contributing to its current state of desiccation. As a traveler, should you survive the seemingly endless shifting landscapes of dunes, razor-sharp forests of glass, skin-flaying winds, lightning, the elementals of the open wastes, and make it to the eastern or western mountains, you will find no solace from your woes. The mountains, though cooler, with some limited moisture, also, unfortunately, supports the majority of the region's animal and plant life. I say unfortunately, as it is very likely all of that life will attempt to end yours. Let's crack open my fictional holiday brochure and give you some highlights of the Eastern Mountains first. In bold writing at the top of this brochure, you see "Welcome to the Friendly Mountains." Below this splashy title, a picture of a desiccated carcass, and it looks like it's wearing your clothes. It should be noted that yes, the Friendly Mountains is the actual name of this range. It seems to be one of the few of the surviving records from the region's cataclysmic past. But moving on. Now, inside the first flap, it boasts, "See the beautiful and majestic dragons of the hills." What the brochure doesn't say is that these dragons are gigantic antlions which lay in wait in the west face foothills of the mountains, gobbling up any creatures that stumble into their pits. The brochure continues by saying, "See the striking plant life." In this comment, the brochure is quite correct. Some of the plants in the Friendly Mountains will in fact strike at you. You are full of sweet, sweet moisture after all. There is also lichen, though not plants, but rather a combinate algae fungus life form. These lichen are highly poisonous. Contact with exposed skin will cause paralysis within seconds and death shortly thereafter, leaving your corpse to rot and provide its precious, precious moisture. Are we having fun yet? The brochure boasts of world-class spelunking. The truth of this is that should you manage to avoid the debilitating effects of the aforementioned lichen, you will likely break through the thin ground cover and fall through one of the many holes to your death. If the fall doesn't kill you, the underworld of Eyðimörk infras will. Moving on in our brochure of the Friendly Mountains, we come to the Night Out on the Town section. The brochure brags about the quadruplet cities, boasting fun, gambling, and fine dining. The 4 cities of the Friendly Mountains are, I suppose, fun if you are a masochist. Truthfully, they do have a strong gambling culture in the form of battle arenas. And, yes, they do also have food, but it may just be you on the menu. In all seriousness, the intricacies of the 4 cities of the Friendly Mountains are far too complex to explore here. They deserve, and we will have, future lore guides exploring each. For now, let's close our brochure and explore the north and south salt seas to the east of the Friendly Mountains. These seas are strangely viscous, with the waters generally having the consistency like that of egg white, though not homogeneously so. Thinner rivers of near-regular saltwater do exist swirled in with the thick. Regardless of viscosity, the seas reek of foul putrescence and sulfurous-like aromas. As was noted in our grand tour of the Western Vale, these waters, if they can even be called that, accrete colossal mineral, iceberg-like structures, which aimlessly roam the seas. The 2 bodies of water are connected by a passage known as the Strait of Woe, so named as it is a frequent ambush point for predators and pirates alike. Disturbing aberrant aquatic forms lurk in the milky depths, but perhaps worse, countless marauders stalk the waves piloting strange living ships. It is a twisted societal Ouroboros, people locked in a perpetual circle of piracy and skullduggery. I would advise all visitors to just avoid the area entirely. Just west of the southern section of the Friendly Mountains is one of the central deserts few stable landmarks, known as the Moor. Little is known about the origins of this ancient impact crater, but it is thought by some to be the historical focal point for the area's transformation from placid garden spot and birthplace of the halfling people to the parched waste it is today. Moving now far to the west, to the Temple Mountains of Eyðimörk. This vast mountainous range is no more hospitable than the, quote, friendly Eastern Range, dominated by the foul adherents of a mysterious, malevolent deity known as Yig. Even the rocks themselves seem to writhe and seethe with putrid, murderous intent. Slavery and abuse run rampant in the cities. Society only tenuously held together by the unseen will of the region's dark patron and namesake. The urban citizenry, ever scheming, ever plotting and manipulating to gain status and power. The mountains are pockmarked and lousy, with seekers of a foul, amber-like material known as Kaular. Spelt K-A-U-L-A-R, the substance is highly prized for its ability to teleport or call, and also entrap or collar sentient species from not only across Mundus, but from other dimensions and planes of existence. These entrapped beings are then offered as sacrifice to the abhorrent Yig in exchange for favor and power. But the harvest of Kaular is a hazardous pursuit indeed. Ravenous, unregulated, unrestricted mining with total abandon over the ages has led to a subsurface world that would make a Victorian-age mine here on Earth seem like a five-star luxury hotel by comparison. Beyond these horrors, the flora and fauna have adapted to this manufactured environment, making the infra of this area by far one of, if not the, most hazardous places on the planet. It is so bad that not a single civilized denizen in the rest of Mundus infra calls this section of the planet home. Even the vile and loathsome troglodytes avoid this region. It is the domain of only the most gnarled, bizarre, and lethal aberrant beings. Our final landmark of note is a remote promise of hope, the aptly named Impossible Pass, which leads to the coastal lands beyond the breathless peaks. I won't provide details here, as in an upcoming episode, we will be exploring the 3 passes of the Western Vale in detail. So by this point, you are surely wondering, why would anyone come to or live in this horrid place? As with most things in life, the answer is money. Rumors of the region's pre-cataclysmic wealth run rampant across the lands. Lost troves of halfling gold, ancient buried temples, stores of long-forgotten mundane and magical knowledge. All these reasons lure and tease the bold, the greedy, and the stupid to these desolate lands. And though the stories of fortune found and escapes made are few, the thin promise of possibility is enough that with each new generation, the seekers come. Are you a seeker? That is all for this time. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for future lore, guide shorts, and thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.